Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things sewing, particularly dressmaking. Today I've got all the things that I've made in February to show you. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. I really am very grateful, and if you like this sort of thing, please consider subscribing, click the notification bell when I bring out new videos, or just leave me a comment below. That would be fantastic. So first of all, I'd just like to apologise for not bringing out a Frugal Friday video this week. I've just changed jobs and I am actually working now on a Friday. So I need to be able to try and record on a Thursday, and I just got too busy unfortunately, so there wasn't one this week. So for anybody who's been anticipating it, I do apologise. We will be back to normal service next week when I get back into things a little bit better. So on to today's video, where I'm just going to talk about the things that I've made in February. And I was a little bit worried that I didn't have enough to show you, but it turns out that I've made 5 things this month, and that in and amongst a new job and running the Frugal Frocks challenge. I don't think it's too bad actually. So I did mention in one of my videos that I actually volunteered to be a pattern tester for winter wear designs. So I've been mentioning winter wear designs quite a few times on the Frugal Friday videos. She has quite a few free patterns over on her website, and she does every week, she does a $3 pattern, and I usually try to highlight whatever she's got available. As a result of the Frugal Friday videos, I actually joined her Facebook group, and she put out a call for testers, and I thought I'd volunteer. So I have previously pattern tested, and I did that for Gertie, which is Gretchen Hirsch. I did the Princess Coat pattern testing around about this time last year actually, beginning of the year. And it was a completely different experience this time. Not that one was negative and one was positive, they were just completely different. And that was because there was a Facebook group for the pattern testers this time, so you were able to talk to other testers at the same time and see what problems they were having or what issues they were having, and we had a bit more of a direct contact with the pattern designer. So the pattern was pyjamas, so she's calling this her classic sleep set. Consists of pyjama top and bottoms, but the pyjama top can be extended into a nightshirt. You've got a couple of hem lengths and you've got a couple of sleeve lengths, so you can go cap to 3/4 or long length. And then the pyjamas you can go capri style or board short length, and you can then add piping, pockets and whatever you want really. She does really go to town, does Suzanne Winter, with the variations that she provides on her patterns, and I really enjoyed being part of the testing group for this one. You had a little bit of banter with some of the other testers, and if they ironed out a problem then you could avoid that problem rather than just working on your own. Being part of that group was a different experience than it was as opposed to just being given a pattern and working on your own and just feeding back to the designer. So I really did enjoy this experience. Probably not the best timing for me for doing a pattern testing when I'm trying to put out 3 videos a week, but it did make sure that I got some new pyjamas in my wardrobe. So when she put out for testers, I just said, well, I've got fabric ready to go. I've got lots of fabric that I've picked up as cotton remnants at my local fabric shop. And I used, for the first set, I used this micro stripe cotton shirting. So it's a really lovely and soft cotton shirting that I've picked up, and then I've done a lot of the details in this feather cotton shirting. The feathers, I was told when I bought it, was probably an ex-Paul Smith shirting, and I think it might have been a lining actually rather than a shirting, and I've used it in a few projects. I bought it years and years back, so it's unlikely that Fabworks have still got this. It tones really well with the stripes, and I had to do that because I really didn't have enough of the striped to go full sleeve length, and I really did want full sleeve lengths on these pyjamas because I tend to wear pyjamas when it's colder and I want long sleeves and long legs. So the first pair of pyjama bottoms that I made for her, they were huge on me, so that's what I fed back, and then I just unpicked the pyjamas and redid them when she resized them. So none of my pyjamas have got pockets in because it was before somebody fed back and asked if they could have pockets in them. Having said that, I've got pyjamas with pockets in and I don't use them. I don't know who's putting things in the pockets, apart from tissues maybe. I don't use pyjama pockets, but there is the option to put pockets in these. There's the option of a top pocket, so I've gone with the contrast top pocket on that one. You've got the option of piping as well, so I think that might have been something that was fed back, and you can put cuffs on. You can go to town on this pattern. You can make it as special as you want or as practical and basic as you want. So just a little bit about the pattern, and it's designed for extra small up to 5XL. The extra small is 28-inch bust, and it goes right up to a 54 to 57-inch bust, and that would be a 57 to 60-inch hip. The waist is brought in with elastic, so your hip measurement's actually more important than your waist measurement, really. Make it in anything from cotton shirting. She does say that you can use a quilting cotton. Obviously you're going to have something a little bit stiffer, right down to a rayon, something a bit more with a bit more drape and movement. And she has suggested polyester and crepe de chine and satiny type fabrics as well. So if you're wanting something a little bit more silky, you could use silk as well, I expect. A bit more luxurious, then you can go down that route as well. Her patterns are actually designed for somebody who's 5'4" to 5'6", which is something that I didn't take into consideration the first pair that I made, and I did need to lengthen my second pair. So my second pair, again, it was a shirting cotton remnant that I picked up, so I was working with very limited fabric for this, because it was 2 pieces of fabric that were different sizes and different lengths. So I'm pretty chuffed that I got pattern matching across the front there, down the side seams of the legs as well, and a pattern match the pocket there as well. So you can see here I've gone for short sleeves on the second pair, and that is just down to how much fabric I had available, really. Just throw those down there. So she did say that you need between 5 and 7 yards of fabric. I had nowhere near that, but I was cutting a size medium for mine, so depending on what size you go for will depend on how much fabric you need. And the width of fabric also needs to be taken into consideration, as does whether you've got a pattern, a directional print on your pattern as well. The patterns are designed for download only, so there are no paper patterns with this pattern company. So you can have the PDF option, so there's US letter size or A4. There's the A0 option where you can send it off to a print shop and have it printed. Or there is the projector files. She does projector files, and that is just simply exactly what it says. You have a projector on your ceiling, you project that directly onto your fabric, or you can trace it as well, and you can cut it out that way, and it just saves quite a lot of paper, especially if you're going to cut directly onto your fabric. But obviously you need to be fairly confident in your sizing if you're going to do that. So I would say overall this is a really good pattern, and if you're looking to try out either making trousers or buttons and buttonholes or a notch collar, then these are all great techniques to try on pyjamas. Number one, you're working with a fairly stable fabric. You're working with cottons and cotton poplins or quilting cotton. And number two, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, you're only going to bed in them. You know, if you've never done buttonholes before, try it on a pair of PJs. If you really wanted to cheat and get round it, you could just sew the buttons up and pull it over your head, because there's plenty of ease in these anyway. Especially if you're smaller chested like myself, you can just pull it over your head and not bother about buttons if you want to get round it. So other than fabric, you just need some interfacing, some buttons and elastic if you're going to do the pyjama pants as well. You can just go for the nightshirt option and do away with the pants. And that's another thing, elastic on pyjamas. My last pair of pyjamas had a tie, and what a pain they are when you're going to the loo in the middle of the night, trying to untie them in the dark. So elastic's the way to go for me. Any other techniques that you want to give a go, like piping or something like that, it really doesn't matter on a pair of pyjamas. Who's going to see them? So give those techniques that you've been waiting to try out on a pair of pyjamas. This retails at $9.95, and like I said, there's no paper option. It is just a download. So yeah, very different but very positive experience from this pattern test, I think. So I got 2 pairs of new pyjamas out of it, and I'm really pleased with it. And Suzanne at Winterwear Designs has very generously donated a prize for our Frugal Frocks Challenge as well. So if you've not seen anything about the Frugal Frocks Challenge, lots of vloggers have been talking about it over the last 2 or 3 weeks now, I think it is. And essentially we are asking you to choose a free pattern using fabric that you've already got, fabric from your stash if you like, and to sew it during the month of March, and the reveal date is over on Instagram on the 31st of March. Second thing that I made this month is the Miranda Dress, which is what I'm wearing now. This is by Sew Me Something, and I have done a full review of this dress, so I won't go into too much depth about it today. I actually won this pattern as a part of a prize over the Christmas period, and yeah, it's a lovely, lovely pattern. It's got princess seams. You've got the option of the notch collar, or you can go straight round with this collar. Two options with the sleeve lengths. I've gone with, it's a 3/4 sleeve length. The main body of it is made with the linen, and then I just opted to go with a contrast on the cuff of this. I think it is meant to be worn down like that, so you've got the notch that reflects the notch in the neckline. But I like to turn it up like that and show it off. And then what I really liked is the detail on the skirt, which I'll just stand up and show you. So you can see these angled pockets here. So you've got a pleat in the skirt that goes into the pocket, and then you've got these angled pockets. And again, I went for the contrast inside the pocket. So yeah, it's a really lovely, comfortable dress is this. I wore it to work yesterday and I didn't know I was wearing it, and that to me is an epitome of comfort. It's more fitted than their usual style of garments, but it's not overly fitted. It's just a nice, loosely fitted, comfortable dress. A day dress, I will call it. So if you want a full review of that, I will leave a link to that at the end of this video. But I would definitely recommend checking out Sew Me Something pattern. She's got some really nice designs, and I think she's just brought out a new pinafore pattern. If you fancy a pinafore with a bit of a difference. This pattern is actually recommended as an intermediate sew, and the sizing goes from 32-inch bust up to a 46 5/8 inch bust. That's your body measurements, a 39.5-inch bust up to a 53 3/8 inch bust. So you've got a lot of ease in this, and I did actually end up taking it in a little bit at the sides because it was too much ease for me. So yeah, you've got lots of options for this one. They are recommending a medium weight fabric, so a cotton or a linen such as I've made it in. They're also recommending that you can make it in something a little bit lighter weight, like a viscose rayon or something like that, or they're suggesting a lightweight wool or a needle cord as well, which would be ideal for winter. It'd be a lovely cosy winter dress with this. So my fourth make is the fennel coat by Mood Patterns, and I have also done a full review of this one as well. So I will leave a link to it, and I won't go into a great deal of depth, but just in case you haven't seen the review, it's a long line coat, puffer style, raglan sleeves. It is designed to have contrast sleeves, collar and cuffs. I didn't have enough of the jersey to do the contrast sleeves, so I used the same fabric for the sleeves that has made for a really warm, snuggly coat. You've got a zip that opens all the way down there, and then you've got these poppers to cover over the zip, and that just keeps the wind out. And it is meant to have belt loops with the cord going through it, which I didn't want to have, so I've created a channel to cinch it in at the waist, otherwise it would be a really big baggy coat. So yeah, a lovely warm quilted coat, and I have worn it actually. I did say in my video that just as spring has sprung that I've made the warmest coat I've ever owned. But actually we've had some cold days, so I have worn it a couple of times, so I don't have to wait until next winter. So really, really chuffed with this and how it's come together. I've also put together another video about working with Mood patterns, because I know a few people have struggled with how to download them and printing them out as well. Mood only provide patterns in a US letter size. The video goes through how to print it off if you're not in the US and you're working with A4 for example, and it just tells you how to download the pattern and a few little hints and tips as well for working with their patterns. I will leave a link to that at the end as well. So if you're thinking of making a dress for the Frugal Frocks challenge from Mood Fabrics, I would definitely recommend watching that video first before you download any of your patterns. So that's the Mood coat. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I got a new job, and I don't know if you saw the video where I announced that my new job is working in a fabric shop. So I'll never have any money again. I've done 2 weeks now working in my local fabric shop, which is called Fabricate. So at the moment the shop's not actually open to the public, so we're able to sort of stock up and catch up. So I was in the lucky position to be able to sew up a sample for the shop and write a blog post. So a bit of a dream job really. So the first thing that I've been asked to sew for the shop is the Vienne blouse by Size Me Sewing. I've not got it with me because it's on the dummy at the shop, but I've got lots of photos that I can insert whilst I'm talking. Size Me Sewing is fairly local to me. I've never sewn with her patterns before, and I've not seen a great deal about her patterns online, so I thought I'd introduce you to some of her patterns because I think she's got some really, really lovely patterns that are great for skill building. So she's brought out 2 sets of patterns so far. The first one was the Florence, where it had 2 tops, a skirt, a pair of trousers and a jacket. The idea is that you can start at the top, build your skills up to the more complicated pieces. You don't have to do them all, and depending on where your skill set is at the time, you can just dive in and dive out wherever you like. Pattern instructions are really, really comprehensive. If you are at the very start of your sewing, she has some really, really good hints and tips, and a few things that, you know, either you knew and you've forgotten or you didn't know at all. So yeah, the written instructions are absolutely fantastic, but in addition to the written instructions, she does have YouTube tutorials to support the instructions as well. If you're one of those learners that needs a video instruction rather than just written instructions, then it's all there for you. She's a really lovely teaching style, and yeah, I would definitely recommend these patterns. The VN top that I made is just a fairly boxy shape to it. It doesn't come in at the waist, 3/4 length sleeves, and the sleeves are actually raglan, so if that's something that you've not done before, then raglan sleeves are a little bit easier to insert than a set-in sleeve. There's no fastenings, so there's no zip or buttons, except there's a hook and eye fastening just to sew on by hand, so you don't have to tackle buttons and buttonholes or zips. It's a really unusual way that she forms a flounce at the front. My challenge was to get it out of less fabric than she recommended, which I thought was quite an unusual request for a fabric shop. Usually they tell you to buy more. If you look at some of the mood recommendations, they tend to tell you to get more fabric than what you need. Philippa, who's my boss, said challenge you to get it out of less fabric than what has been recommended on the pattern. So the pattern recommended 1.5 metres for the size that I sewed, and I managed to get it out 1.25 metres, so not a lot less, but it wasn't a lot of fabric anyway. I made it out of the purple pearl peach polyester, which is a real mouthful to say. So yeah, it's like a peach skin, and it's only £9 a metre, so I thought it was a really nice one to work with. And it'd work really well with something with a lot of drape, so like your viscoses. She does suggest a cotton lawn, does the pattern designer as well, and that would work well. But yeah, something nice and floating and drapey for that flounce at the front. So other than the skill building techniques that she builds into her patterns, the other point of difference that Donna has is not only can you buy the off-the-shelf standard sizes, you can actually tailor your size to your individual measurements, so you can actually tell her what your measurements are. She will send you a pattern that's designed for you, which I think is a really, really fantastic idea. It takes all the guesswork out of it for you. She does also tell you how to measure yourself as well. So some people would prefer a pattern with all the sizes on so they can make it for more than one person, and some people just want all that bother taken away. So I think it's a really good idea, and that is why she's called Size Me Patterns. Donna is also a sponsor for the Frugal Frocks Challenge, and she has very kindly donated the 3 new patterns in her collection, which is all the VN range. So there's a blouse, there's a dress, and there's a coat in that. So one lucky winner will win all 3 of those patterns. So yeah, I would encourage you again to have a look at her website. She's only got the 2 collections. She hasn't got a vast array of patterns on there. And for size ranging, then obviously the size range will go up to whatever size that you are. Obviously she can tailor that to the individual. And that's everything that I've made so far, except so I have started a 12 for my Frugal Frocks Challenge, and just brought this along just to show you why it's important to twirl. I haven't quite decided what pattern I'm going to make just yet for the Frugal Frocks Challenge, but I did decide that I would just twirl a few, cut a few out and see how they worked for me. So this is the 00 Denmark that I was planning on making into a dress, and I actually cut out the pattern pieces before Christmas, and stupidly I cut them out to a size 18. Now I don't know really why I did that, and then even more stupidly I decided to cut out the fabric without double checking. So I cut out a size 18 when really I should have been more of a size 12, I think, in these patterns, and it was huge. But not only was it huge, my friend Jane had made one, and she'd mentioned that she had swapped out the facings for bias binding. Now I don't actually mind facings normally, but having made this, I know I'm going to go for bias binding because they just flip out. I've got a pin in it here, but as soon as you put this on, this wants to flip out, and on the sleeves as well. And yes, you can top stitch around there, but on a fabric like this, I don't want top stitching on it. It's too fine and too delicate, and I don't think it'd work. So let that be a warning for you. And I've just been having a chat with somebody that is joining in with the Frugal Frocks Challenge, and she was asking me how to do the V on this Miranda dress. And whilst I was chatting to her, she just said, oh, it's toile number 5 or something. And I said, oh, I'm really glad that somebody's listening to me about doing a toile, because, you know, it is really important. You're not just finding out whether something fits you. You're testing techniques, and you are seeing whether something suits you as well. So I'm not going to say that I always make a toile. I didn't make a toile on this one, but I do try to make what I would call a wearable toile, and they are quite important. If you're not confident in some of the techniques, or whether something's going to suit you, or indeed whether it's going to fit you. So let this be a lesson, and it's not a massive clue as to what I'm going to make, because I might change my mind yet. So, but I absolutely love the colour of this fabric. The fabric was given to me, and I do want to save it, so I will be doing a fair amount of unpicking. That's it from me today. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Hopefully I'll be back to my normal schedule next week. Now I've got back into things. I'll be back mid-week with a little tutorial. I haven't decided what yet, but we'll think of something. And if there's anything that you want me to do a tutorial about, just leave a message below and I will consider adding that to my list. And do please consider joining us in the fun with the Frugal Frocks Challenge. We've got lots and lots of prizes, but Size Me Sewing are one of the sponsors, as our winter wear designs. And if you want a discount on any of your printing, we've got a discount at Fabricate, which is the shop that I'm working for 20% off your printing. And you can put as many patterns on there as you like, but it is only valid for one set of printing. I'll be back next Sunday, possibly with a pattern review, we'll see. Okay, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you later. Bye.